he wanted to, I think, right in the preseason. So how big of a role do you see him being able to take in the second half of the year?
Yeah, he's another guy. So his story is, he came in the middle of the summer and really not knowing what his future would be. And as a result, you can't dedicate as many reps as you'd like to because you may be, those reps may be better served somewhere else. So he's really done a great job of picking everything up from the scheme to the way we handle business. And, he had a hiccup early on in just terms of just getting his body back together. But we expect him to continue to increase his role as the second half goes. So we expect both big things out of both those guys.
Far left, Justin Holbrook, WCMH-TV. What is it about Ronnie's game that allows him to go back and forth between kind of linebacker, kind of safety, and make plays in both levels, and also still have a nose for football no matter where he is on the field?
Well, I think number one, and he is a defensive back. He's a bullet, but he stays. He meets with the defensive backs. But from my vantage point, Rocket, number one, he's very intelligent. He has a great instinct on the field. So those guys, the further away from the ball you are, I think that plays a major role. What kind of angles you take, what kind of disguise are you showing. He has a knack for all of that, on top of being a really good athlete and leader. I think he's emerged as one of the leaders not only on the defense but the team. So I think that piece of it for Rocket separates him and is helping him right now, produce the way he has. He's been playing lights out.
Feels like Steele's made that transition as well to leader. Did you expect him to take this on as quickly as he had, making that transition over the summer to where he is now?
Yeah, because, again, he came, in the summertime when he came, it was kind of one of those experimental, sort of speak. He wasn't like he was completely out of running back. And as the summer went, he kind of gravitated towards it, took to it, and it's really taken off, man. Every rep he's out there, he's getting better, and he is becoming more of a leader. I think he's starting to feel more comfortable, which is very important. And, again, he would be the first to tell you there's things that he wants to attack. Like our single focus right now is improving every day and really putting everything else out of our mind. But, he's a guy, man, in time, he's going to be a very, very good player, as you all can see.
Al, just how challenging was it for your room when you lost both Dallas and Kayvon in 1 week, and kind of how did you kind of keep the room together after that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first off, that whole situation, both of them, man, I've got nothing but love for those kids. I spent so much time with them, and I support them as they go forth and do what they feel they need to do. It may have been, the perception may have been one thing. The reality is, I think when, understanding the foundation of the room, so to speak, understanding the reality of everything, we held it together by just staying focused on what was the objective, and we all were all supportive. So it wasn't, it is what it is, so to speak, and you have to be supportive, and we got to keep moving forward. So that was our mentality, and that's kind of been what has kept us moving forward.
Obviously, those guys, they had some frustrations about their playing time. They had waited their turn for 3 years. They didn't get to play. How hard was that to navigate when you have guys that, maybe they've waited their turn, maybe they felt like they deserved more playing time than they were getting?
Yeah, it's never easy. It's never easy, and I completely understand. I completely understand the frustration, and both those two young men are great people and really good players. So. It's tough to manage, but we've just kept moving forward and continue to focus on what we can and getting better.
Deep right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman row.
With the two guys transferring out, you lose not only veterans but people who were viewed as leaders coming into the season. How important has Taraja been in the last couple of weeks, not only as a captain of the team but just in the room and keeping everybody focused?
Yeah, he's one of the major contributing factors to how we're able to stay focused. He has been an excellent leader, voted captain, and just brings it every day. So very, just appreciative and proud of Taraj and really how he's taken everything from his, my first year here to now. He's taken everything and really tried to use it to his advantage and to become more of whatever, he needs to be for that moment. So he's done a great job, and he's a big part of that culture.
When you look back now 6 weeks ago, do you think that in hindsight, like Tommy and Cody weren't exactly ready to play, but they needed to play, and now finally you're seeing the production kind of turn and you're seeing them play well? Do you feel like they're actually ready now?
Yeah, you know what? every rep that we have, they get more and more, they get better and better. But two of those young men, I've always had, just a high opinion of as football players and as men. So I think, early on in the year compared to now, there has been progress, and there has been, more comfort in terms of being out there. So I think those are positives for sure, right? I mean, because moving forward, they're going to be counted on in a major way. So, you do feel good about that.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports. How, going back to when the guys decided to transfer, just keeping that room together, keeping focused, as you mentioned, on the objective at hand. What are conversations like with the guys that remain? You don't want to have guys thinking about that, I assume, and it's just what is that conversation like when you do lose two guys in a quick period?
Yeah, I think I'll tell you, the conversation was on the moment. Say, hey, guys, what do we need to do? Obviously right now we need to improve. We need to focus on the things we need to control, and that's been the narrative, and it's never gone negative. We've always been positive, and we've got to take advantage of the time we have. So that's been our message, and you just have to be persistent in that, and you have to know who you are. You have to know what you stand for, and I think those things help, in terms of how do we keep it together, because tough times, they come, the challenging times come, but you have to persist. You've got to stick to what you came in to the situation. You have to stick to it, and I believe that. So that's been our message every day, and that's going to be our message. That's our message here in about an hour, and when we get on that field, that's our mentality. And if you continue to do that, then you improve. And that's ultimately our most important, that's the most important objective we have.
Right next door, Doug Lamarice, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah. With the bullets being in the DB room,
Yeah.
what did it mean for you you used to have 3 positions worth of snaps in your room to divvy up, and now you have 2 pretty much. I know that third linebacker works in here and there, but how has that changed anything about how you do your job?
Well, I think you obviously focus in on, the jobs that the people out there are going to be doing. So we do have packages. Obviously, we have 3 to 4 linebackers on the field. I think it's based on who you play. So if you play in a team that is more spread-oriented, that player is going to be more in space. So that's just the nature of it. So, but I don't think it's changed all that much, in terms of how I approach what we're doing. I think it's more a reflection of, the defense and really what teams are, doing to put us in those situations, if that makes sense.
And then obviously, the Kayvon situation, the way it played out publicly like that was unusual. You don't typically see something like that.
Yeah.
Understanding the frustration of a young person in that situation, did that cause any reevaluation on your part of like how did it get to this point? What could I have done better? Is there an issue in our room to have someone kind of reach that point? Did you ever wonder to yourself, man, is there something here that's not right that maybe led to that?
Yeah, no question. Anytime there's something like that happens, you do reflect. And Kayvon was frustrated, and I get that, and I don't judge him off that. I mean, he's a great kid. So yeah, you absolutely look into say, hey, what led up to this, and ultimately, man, at the end of the day, you look at those things, you apply it, what you learn from a situation, and you keep doing the best you can with the decisions you have to make. And that's ultimately what you have to do. And so, to answer your question in regards to that, yeah. And listen, my relationship with him, I mean, I still have a relationship with him, and I got nothing but love for him, man. I mean, he's a great kid, he really is. So that's what I have to say to that,
Second row middle, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Al, you only have 6 healthy scholarship linebackers on the roster. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
How big of a challenge is that for you, and are you concerned about the depth there?
Yeah, you always, the depth is always concerned, you know what I mean? Especially, you've got 6, but you feel really good about those 6. You feel really good about where they are, where they're trending. But, yeah, you obviously would like to have, you'd like to bolster yourself as much as you can. But to say that, I'm concerned and worried, so I can't say that. I feel that we have who we have. I feel real strong about, and it's just a daily deal where we have to, continue to grind away and improve, and that's what our mentality's been. So I feel very excited about those guys and very excited about the direction they're headed.
Reed Carrica is just a true freshman, but we're seeing more true freshmen play for the Buckeyes than I think we've ever seen.
Yeah.
How close is he to playing this year, or maybe is he a year away from playing?
Yeah, Reed is progressing. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say right now for Reed, being a freshman. And, I guess if things, circumstances warranted, then yeah, he would have to be thrust. But right now, I'm very pleased with his progress, very pleased with, every day how he's going about his business. So, I guess, to answer your question, I think he's trending in the right direction, and very pleased with him. Yeah. Hey, Bill.
Kerry Combs spoke last week and talked about this has been the hardest year professionally for him. I would imagine with what you've had to deal with, I mean, you're a lot younger, but has this been the most challenging year for you?
Yeah, you know what? We've all had tough experiences and challenging moments. Yeah, there's been moments that have been very challenging, right? Things that are unusual, right? That don't usually occur. But in the same breath, we're still in it, and our focus is on kind of how things will end, so to speak, where things are trending. So I guess maybe I can answer that question better later in the year. But I will tell you early on, yeah, there's some challenging moments for sure. It's not just Coach Combs, it's everybody. We all have a great expectation. So early on, that bump was what it was. But what you're seeing from him and what you're seeing from the remaining of the staff, hey, guys are digging in and responding.
Matt Barnes is now calling the plays. Can you describe the dynamic at work and what Matt has brought to the defense in that role?
Yeah, Matt's done a phenomenal job, and really the dynamic hasn't changed much. We all, it's a collaborative effort. So I think, the dynamic is what it is, and I think everybody is supportive, obviously, and Matt's done a hell of a job, done a great job. Yeah.
Right next door, Tim Hay, 11 in a row.
Hey, Tim.
How you doing now?
Good.
I was going to ask you last week when Kerry was in there. I asked him about Steele Chambers.
Yeah.
What set us up? He goes, he sees, he goes.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, as you evaluate him to this point, what are the things he really needs to bring to the table? Maybe what are the things he's brought to the table? What are the things he really needs to bring to the table the last half of the season to really make that jump?
Yeah, number one, he's just approached it the right way. He comes into work every day with the right mentality. I think he's working really hard off the field as well. There's a lot of stuff thrown at. Really, we're talking, a handful of months where he's had to learn a playbook, learn a new system, and it's been some time since he's been a linebacker. So I think, his approach is the right. He's got the right approach. Obviously, I think he has really good instinct. I think just time, I think reps, I think those types of things will help him maybe see things a little quicker. But not to say he's not. I think he's done a phenomenal job. He's really progressed so fast. So I think what he brings to the table is that approach of, working your tail off and really working at, the off the field stuff, which is a big part of the position, as you know.
One of the quickie, when you look up, you guys are going through that overhaul after week 2, and you look up and the head coach is sitting in the room with you,
Yeah.
usually not in there, et cetera. And it's moved on since then. What is the biggest change you think you guys have made? Obviously, you have gone to 2 high safeties a lot now and things like that, but what's the biggest change you think you've made that's made the big change in this defense?
Yeah, that's a hard question, Tim. I think when you're met with that type of challenge, you just kind of go back. You just you put your cleats in the ground, so to speak. You kind of slow things down and you kind of do the little things. You try to go about doing the little things better. And I think that was really, not much has changed. Our defense isn't dramatically, different than what it was. I think everybody, I can speak for myself, is, okay, what do we need to, let's slow down here. Let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to square one. Let's do the little things. And I think time as well. I think that's a big part of it too. A lot of those guys are out there more and more, and naturally, things slow down a little bit. So, that answers your question.
Time for a couple more. Over here, far right, Tony Gerben, Buckeye School.
Hey, Tony.
Regarding Steele,
Yeah.
when did you know he'd be okay?
Well, I guess early on we had a scrimmage. I can recall the scrimmage this summer, man, and he was his first reps out there, and man, he shot through the gap, made a big play, and you just said to yourself, man, he was able to identify that quick and pulled the trigger. So, athletically he flashes, he moves well, but I just, you feel good about where he's going based on how he is, how he conducts himself, and naturally, how he's performing. So I would say to you early on, we kind of had an idea he'd be a good player.
And then in the meeting rooms, how long did it take him to start talking linebacker and speaking the language?
Pretty early on. He's a very, very bright kid. And I think naturally being on offense, you have an appreciation, a little bit of defense, him being a running back. So I think that helped. But, I just think early on he started talking, early on in the process and hasn't stopped yet. And, I think it speaks to the culture of the guys in the room. I mean, you got, guys like Taraja, we had mentioned, Cody Simon, Tommy Eichenberg. Those guys have all kind of corralled him and really helped along the process as well. So I think they're a big part of it too.
Last question, Clay Hall, WSYS.
Hey, Clay.
Now, what do you make of the Big Ten race the rest of the way? You've got some monster games coming up, and everybody's in the hunt.
Yeah.
The high caliber of football the league is playing now.
It is, and our focus is this week. That's literally, I'm speaking for myself and I'm speaking for my guys. It is right now. This week. There's nothing, no game more important. So, maximizing Tuesday is our focus. I think if you do that, everything else takes care of itself. But we got to be at our best every time we're on the field. So that's our objective. That's our focus.
They touched on it, but what stabilized the defensive coaching staff? It was going back to square one.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. But I just think the character of the people in the room. I think everybody everybody has a collaborative mentality. So, wherever things are, man, we want to keep pushing the needle forward. There's no ego. There's none of that. We're trying to do everything we can do to help, obviously, and I think it speaks to the kids. I think it speaks to the players. I mean, the maturity they've shown and the toughness they've shown is a big part of it too. So I think there's a lot there. I don't think it's just one thing, but I think a lot of factors, contribute.
You have Ryan Day's respect. The thing has been fixed. He said he's backed off a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Ryan, but yeah, I mean, it's we absolutely, hope we have Ryan's respect as we know we do, so, yeah, I'd agree with that.